Hi everyone, welcome to Stammering Vlog episode 17. So, not been a vlog for a little while, been a busy man, so apologies for that. Been away on holiday and just doing a few other things that's took my attention away from doing these vlogs, but back this week, hopefully with a vengeance. So, what's been going on in the stammering world lately? Well, this week, you might have seen on social media there was a advert put out by Natwest Bank, and it's caused quite a stir. Let me just get it up and I can read it to you. So, Natwest Bank, I'll try and edit this, so I'll put a picture in. So it said, making sure your startup doesn't stutter, because changing times call for a proactive business bank. We are what we do. So Natwest Bank put this billboard all over the country, bus stations, all the usual places. And they felt that using the phrase stutter was acceptable. So that was interesting in itself. Would they use make sure your startup doesn't fall over and put a picture of somebody in a wheelchair or walking with crutches or whatever? No, they wouldn't. They would never do that in a million years. So this was raised on social media, first highlighted. Great way of doing these things. Tweets sent to Natwest going, whoa, hang on a minute. To be fair to Natwest, they come back and said they'll look into it. The day after, they come back on Twitter to say, really sorry it's caused any offence, and we're removing the billboards and we'll think differently using the phrase stutter again in the future. So what a result to get a global company, Natwest, to change their thinking and educate them a bit more. That's got to be a massive result. So hats off to everyone at the BSA for doing that, and everybody that threw their two penneth worth in Twitter. Great work, and Facebook and all the other social media platforms. You know, just prove to me that we can really make a difference. When we come together as a community, the change that we can make is fantastic. But it made me think a little bit about the term stutter, because you hear it quite a lot. You know, you hear, on sports radio, or probably lots of examples, but they'll say, that team stuttered to their win, or they stuttered at the start of the season, now they've overcome it, or well, that phrase is used quite a bit. And I always thought stutter was the reason. The phrase stutter is what they generally use in America and that side of the world. That's what it meant. It meant like stumbling and those sorts of things. But actually, when I Googled it and researched, it doesn't actually. In the dictionary, the phrase stutter relates directly to somebody's speech and nothing else. And I was quite surprised at that, because, as I say, I always thought actually that's what it was, and that's where the phrase stutter come from. Apparently not. So why do so many broadcast people and people in general use that phrase stutter for other things that doesn't relate to speech? Has it just become an acceptable term to use? It probably has. But, I just thought great win that was for the stammering community. Well done to everyone at the BSA. That's Fantastic. Well, I'm on the subject of the BSA. I'd just like to welcome Jane Powell into her role as Chief Exec. So she takes over from Norbert, who was around for many, many years. Big shoes to fill. Norbert did a great job. I'm sure Jane will do a great job. So welcome to Jane. I was really pleased to see that she's got background in mental health. You know, I've talked on these vlogs before about the intricacies with stammering and mental health and how they combine, and one affects the other. So yeah, really excited to see what change Jane can bring about. So that's great. Questions posed when I put a tweet out earlier in the week that a vlog was forthcoming, was about why do stammerers in general, obviously this isn't the case for everybody, but why do we go to great lengths to hide our stammer and we're not open about it? Well, that's, it's a really good question because obviously, my stammering journey, I've moved on, but I very much know that 10 years ago I would never have talked about my stammer, or if anybody approached me about it, I would, those blocks would come up and I wouldn't want to engage in conversation. So why do we do that? And I think going back to the Natwest example, they probably didn't realise the impact that would have. And one of the reasons is because we don't talk about it. Now, the reason we don't talk about it is because of the difficulty we have talking about it. So it's that vicious circle, isn't it? But certainly being open about our speech gets rid of a lot of that fear around stammering and how it's perceived and everything else. There's a great quote that was doing the rounds in social media today. So a guy called George Springer, who I'm reliably informed is a famous baseball player, I think I'm right in saying. Never heard of him myself, but not a big baseball fan. I'm sure anyone watching this is. And he said, apparently he's a huge star by all accounts, which is great. We need more stars out there being open about their stammer. And he's quoted as saying, "Once I just accepted it, it actually changed my outlook on pretty much everything and made me a lot happier with myself. Embrace it and don't let it prevent you from doing the things that you want to do in life." Brilliant. So he said, once he accepted it, it changed the way. And I think that's another thing about openness and acceptance. Very much is the same sort of thing. And I know before I got any help with my stammer, accepting it was the first step of doing that, to then say, okay, this is a problem, this is an issue, it is affecting my daily life, I need to go and do something about it. But for years, it doesn't, and I'm absolutely fine. So those two things. So if we can accept and then talk about it, is brilliant. And actually tomorrow, part of my group, my stammering support group through Starfish, we're having a bit of a social gathering, and what's planned is that we all bring somebody with us that's not our partner, husband or wife, but somebody to bring along to discuss with them about stammering and introduce them to everyone else so they can learn about it. And I just think that was a really good idea somebody had in the group to do that, because those conversations will probably go on then and talk about it, and then they won't be as maybe fearful in that situation of stammering and everything else. So I'm really looking forward to that tomorrow. Blimey, we're at 10 minutes these things. Got so much more to say. So yeah, what's coming up? So in a couple of weeks, week after next, I'm actually going back on the Starfish project, which is a bit of a landmark occasion because it will mark 10 years of me being a part of the project, so for when I first went on my first course. So yeah, really looking forward to that. It's always great to get back and to be a part of, and yeah, knowing that. So I'm sure I'll report back in due course about that. There were some more questions which I wanted to discuss, but you're all probably bored now and switching off. So I will get to those questions in future weeks. I do keep a log. Again, if you're watching this, thank you. Appreciate your support. You could share, subscribe, do all that malarkey. Again, be appreciated. More people we can reach, the better. Raise awareness of stammering can never be a bad thing. Do drop a comment on anything I've said. If you've got any opinions, you don't have to share the same opinion as me. That's absolutely fine. I actually welcome other opinions, and maybe we could discuss it on a future week. Okay, that's enough for now. Thanks again for watching. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.